All right, y'all. Welcome back to Marines React. Again, I am Theo from Combat Arms Channel. I'm here with Ryan from Dit Commando. Today we're checking out another video from Infographics. This one should be pretty cool. So this is American soldier versus British soldier. Now it looks like it's like a military comparison from 2021, so it should be pretty modern. But I guess we'll have to see. Maybe we can try and tear it apart a little bit if we got some fake news.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. Who's going to be the better?
Yeah, we'll see. All right, let's check it out.
It's 2025, and after a strange shift in geopolitics and world powers, the USA and the UK have found themselves going to war with each other. These longtime allies that once fought side by side in World War II and Afghanistan have become arch enemies fighting for global dominance. The rest of the world looks on
what happened?
in horror.
Exactly,
but who will win? There's one fact that's hard to ignore. One side is larger than the other by a long way.
Which side, though?
What the heck? We got like robots and stuff all of a sudden. What happened? This is 2025.
Yeah, future.
I mean, I think like if we were going to war against each other, everybody else would take full advantage of that, to be honest.
The United States.
The French.
Based on size alone, the U.S. military is the clear winner. It boasts over 1.4 million personnel, compared with a measly 149,000 in the U.K. That might not guarantee
I don't like how they put it like that,
if the whole U.S. Army
there's that size difference, right? I mean, is it comparable? You know, when you look at the size of the United States, does it actually work out like per number of civilians to military? Have you actually got a bigger military in comparison in that respect?
Yeah, so let's see. You guys have what, like
80, 60, 70 million type, something like that?
Okay, yeah, so we have 360 million. So I think it's pretty much the same. But again, you have to think about the quality of the soldiers themselves are going to be very different. I would say it's definitely held to a higher standard in the UK.
Yeah, for some parts anyway. It doesn't always work out that way. But yeah, I know where you're coming from.
List of untrained airheads and idiots, but it doesn't hurt. Especially when you consider the amount the U.S. spends. The American military budget is a huge $740 billion.
It's the biggest in the world by far, isn't it?
Smaller $49 billion.
Yeah, that's almost $1 trillion.
Value everything in life.
That's insane. You can't even imagine.
But to be fair, both countries take their military spending seriously. In terms of GDP, the USA spends 3.4% on the military, and the UK spends around 1.7%.
That's really not that much.
That figure won't help the Brits win a war,
I thought it was more than that.
Can nurse their national
I mean, this video is off of
actually
it's 2021.
Good for the Brits. They've been outnumbered and outspent. Let's see if they can turn things around with their equipment. As they say, it's not all about the size, it's about how you use it. Which country has the best weapons, gadgets, and vehicles? If we're talking about quantities, the USA gets an easy win here, as you'd expect.
So I'm going to throw this one in there. From what I've personally seen, working alongside, my main exposure to the US military was the US Marines, and you guys had some fantastic kit. Now, from what I've heard from US Marines, you guys probably don't get the best kit like amongst the rest of the services. Is that true?
Yeah, so that's what I thought. Being in the Marine Corps, and then when I transitioned over to the Army, the gear was way worse. For like the individual soldier, for the individual soldier, it was way worse.
Wow.
So I think you need to go to like the bigger units, like the 82nd or 101st, to get some of the good gear,
stuff.
You know?
Yeah.
So the grass isn't always greener, I
guess. They
guess.
spend far more on the military overall, so of course they have more stuff. The UK only has 227 tanks compared to the USA's 8,370. As for armored vehicles, the UK has 4,673 and the USA has 41,760.
That's a lot.
Is the UK's lack of resources such a big deal?
But they're not always in the best condition, I'll say that.
During the Afghanistan conflict in 2007, the British Army stationed in the south of the country had been finding it increasingly difficult to maintain peace over the last 3 years because of their lack of equipment. Guess who had to sweep in to save them? The Americans. The U.S. Brigadier General Lawrence Nicholson
I'd say that's more important for like
Marines
with
a new approach. Go big, go strong, go fast. The new forces weren't exactly successful in maintaining peace, as anyone familiar with the Kandahar massacre and the Maiwand district murders will know, but they were good at going big and going strong, which could give the U.S. an edge in battle. In Afghanistan, the British used Jackal vehicles, which are designed for maneuverability rather than protecting the person inside. The Americans had MRAPs, or mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles. Although MRAP tanks are classified as light armored vehicles, they weigh a massive 14 to 18 tons.
That's crazy.
Yeah, those things are insane.
Designed to withstand the improvised explosive devices that threatened troops during the Iraq and Afghanistan conflicts, they were much more effective at keeping the troops safe from danger than anything the Brits had. However, the U.S.
Yeah, I think the U.S. learned pretty early on whenever we were just using like normal, because we originally had like the fiberglass Humvees, and those were just trash.
People getting destroyed.
Even up armored Humvees weren't helping because they didn't have like the V-hole on the bottom. So
I know the early days of Afghanistan, like the British military, we were getting annihilated with our low armored vehicles. The Royal Marines were basically going around the sand dunes in Land Rovers with pretty much zero body armor on, and taking the fight to them.
Well, that kind of sucks, especially for the Royal Marines, because they're kind of being used outside of their element,
Yeah.
The U.S. Marines seem to have plenty of admiration for the Brits and what they achieved, despite their lack of equipment. So that's something. One American Marine commented, "The biggest thing I noticed was the vehicles they drive. You guys are friggin' gutsy. I wouldn't get shot at in one of those." Does having more flimsy vehicles make the British the weaker side, or just more badass? It depends on which way you look at it. Another difference between the British and U.S. armies is
how would you look at that
women
then?
On the front line.
I mean, for me, I'm past the point of seeing it as badass. I mean, of course, you're going to want the thing that gives you the most protection.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the Brits would, you guys would probably think of it the same way. So
yeah,
I think it kind of just sucks for them being put in a position where they have to use stuff like that doesn't necessarily protect them as well.
Absolutely. It just comes down to money, really, and the utilization of it. And I think, if you can have better kit, then why wouldn't you want to? It makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, we don't want to say women are better or worse in the military than men, because that'd probably start a war in the comments section, so we'll let you decide, but it's definitely worth mentioning. In Afghanistan, the U.S. Marines were shocked to see women wandering around shower blocks wrapped in nothing but a towel, with no cares in the world. The U.S. does have women in the armed forces, but they aren't always allowed to be on the front line or live in close proximity to their male counterparts. In the U.K., on the other hand, women are seen as equal. Revolutionary concept. Despite their surprise at the close working and living relationships between women and men in the British Army, the U.S. Marines soon realized these women were professional soldiers they needed to take seriously. But could the initial shock be a trump card up the sleeves of the British? Anyway, time to get on.
I think you guys get the whole female-male working thing pretty well, from what I've seen.
I think so too. So as far as like female being in the infantry, that's still a pretty new thing. So that's still taking some time to work itself out. But as far as you had like female engagement teams, which were made from like other MOSs that would go and do their stuff. So I don't really know. I think from a deployed standpoint, you have respect for everybody.
Absolutely. I don't think the UK is any further forward than you guys. I'd say we're on a pretty much a level playing field because it's new in both of our countries, really, for the infantry wise.
Right.
On to the important stuff. The real factors that determine the success of a military side. Who can handle the most alcohol? It's a contentious topic. The British are known for drinking more.
This is where we're going to argue.
Start at a younger age, but the U.S. soldiers might give them a run.
U.S. soldiers can't handle alcohol.
U.S. soldiers indulge in binge drinking. I know what you're thinking. What does this have to do with the power of their militaries? Although drinking is a skill that might be impressive on a wild night out on the town, it's not a positive thing during combat. It's important for soldiers to keep their mental health stable over extended periods of combat. The soldiers might use alcohol as a way of coping with difficult experiences they encounter during the military instead of talking about them. Over half of British servicemen and women drank at a level that could harm their health in 2018, most likely to self-medicate from mental health conditions such as PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder. Similarly, alcohol as a coping mechanism is a huge problem among veterans.
I agree.
Things just got dark.
How's it in America then for the alcohol? Because I've got an interesting take on this. Not all PTSD, I think, is diagnosed correctly. And I know loads of guys, obviously I wouldn't mention names, but I've worked with guys who literally wouldn't have the effects of PTSD if they chose not to drink. Like, it wouldn't exist for them. Right. I think PTSD in a lot of the cases is brought on through binge drinking mentality. I know that's controversial, but...
I'll say as a squad leader and as a platoon sergeant, we've separated people from the military for having PTSD, even though they haven't deployed. So a lot of times it's built from stuff that happened previously, but I think the alcohol definitely exacerbates it. Yeah. Because, I mean, you kind of have this culture where it's like, let's get off work, let's get smashed. And it's just super unproductive. You know?
And where else would you ever have that kind of culture where you could be so unproductive at times? You know?
Yeah, it's like a Spartan mentality for sure.
Party topic. You can't mention the drinking preferences of the British without mentioning their ultimate beverage of choice, tea. In contrast, the U.S. prefers coffee.
Hell
Does
yeah.
this affect the combat performance
Coffee all day, man.
Time to find out. Many British tanks and armored vehicles are fitted with water-boiling devices, cube-shaped kettles enable troops to boil water inside the protection of a tank and drink tea to their heart's content. Maybe that's why the British were willing to sacrifice the sturdiness of their vehicles in Afghanistan. This might seem a bit eccentric, not to mention pointless, but hear us out. During World War II, a large number of fatalities were caused by crew members having to leave the safety of their tanks when they needed a break. There was only one reasonable solution: let them make a brew inside the tank. That way, the troops were less of a target for enemy fire. 10 out of 10 for ingenuity. Who knows? Maybe this could be their secret weapon.
What's happening now?
There's nothing like a
Star Wars invasion.
But don't discount the Americans because
what's this got to do with?
To recognize the importance of a lovely warm beverage.
They're shooting tea and coffee at each other
to ensure coffee is always available to its soldiers, whether in ration packs or at garrisons. Sometimes there are shortages, so improvisation comes into play to give the soldiers their daily fix. During the Korean War, some soldiers indulged in sock coffee. Coffee filtered in a sock. Or if the worst comes to worst, they just mix instant coffee granules with cold water and down it like a shot of vodka. Lovely.
I mean, nowadays it's so nice because you have these companies like Black Rifle Coffee Company.
Yeah,
they'll send out a bunch of coffee. So
Black
it's like,
Rifle
there's
coffee.
Definitely no shortage. So.
Yeah, they're legends.
That's kind of cool.
It is.
It's definitely better than the sock coffee that.
Oh man, I don't want to try that anytime soon.
No.
It's worth it to have that caffeine coursing through your veins ready for battle. Clearly, both sides have their vices, but we'll have to give the Brits the edge on this one, based purely on the fact that they're less likely to drop dead from swallowing some questionable feet fungi. In this capitalist world, soldiers aren't just fighting for their national pride or a noble cause. They also want to receive their paycheck at the end of it all. The draft ended in 1973 after the Vietnam War in the USA, making the Army a professional, career-oriented force. In the British Army, the national service officially ended in 1960, and it transformed into a professional army in 1963. So who gets the
I didn't even know you guys had that.
New recruits in the British Army start
World
on a
War
salary
I
of
and II.
£15,985 a year in training, soon going up to $20,400 when becoming a private. After a few years, if they can reach the rank of sergeant, the salary will go up to £35,853 a year. That's around $46,000. In the U.S. Army, new recruits can expect to earn $24,512 a year as a private first class after initial training.
So the thing is, what I've noticed though, your rank structure is slightly different, isn't it? In terms of,
we have more lower enlisted ranks.
Yeah, so you'll have like ranks almost within a rank structure as well, right? So that do you think that affects the pay in that respect then? Because you've got US recruit, then sergeant, whereas the UK we've got a training private sergeant, but they're missing out corporals and stuff like that as well.
Right. I mean, you don't get paid as a recruit, so I think they should just put private there. But a sergeant making $29,000 is honestly super low. Yeah, that's like really, really low.
That's what
like
when
I was
thinking.
a sergeant. I think I was making like easily over $40,000, which is like pretty reasonable for having like several years in.
Yeah, and especially you can obtain that rank pretty young as well if you join early enough.
Yeah, for sure.
Sergeant earns
I don't know about
up
those.
to $29,610 a year. So we have a clear winner here. Let's hope the Americans don't find out, or they could end up switching sides. Now that would be an interesting.
We are the same side.
With so much money, we hope the British soldiers would go through a half-decent training program. Let's find out if that's the case. In the UK, most soldiers complete a 14-week common military syllabus, followed by specialist training.
Sorry, so the main area where I would say this is talking about one part of our tri-service military. This is talking about the army, and this is a basic infantry course. So everyone who joins the army, no matter what job you do, whether you're an infantier, a driver, a signaller, you'll do your basic training, and then you'll go on to do your specialist training or your trade training. So if you're an infantier, like a paratrooper, you'll do your basic training, but you'll do it with the parachute regiment, so it'll be harder. And then you'll do your more advanced infanteering up till about 28, 29 weeks or something like that. So, yeah, that's definitely not the same for tri-service. The Royal Marines, for instance, our basic training is 36 weeks. So it's like over double that. So it's, that's definitely not the same for everyone.
Yeah, it's not the same in the U.S. either. In the U.S., it's 22 weeks for just a basic infantryman.
Really? So that's a lot longer than 10 week then, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
Training for different trades and divisions. U.S. soldiers train for slightly less time. They complete a 10-week basic combat training course, then complete more career-oriented training. Overall, both countries offer a similar style of training based on fitness, discipline, and weaponry. It's hard to say that one country is definitively superior here, but there is one key difference: the age of the recruits. A U.S. soldier must be 17 to join the forces with parental consent, or 18 without the consent. Meanwhile, Brits can join at the age of 16 if they have parental consent, making the UK the only NATO country to recruit young people into its military at age 16. It's a controversial policy.
That's still pretty weird.
These recruits must remain in the army until they're 22, and they can't even vote or drink alcohol until they turn 18.
Yeah, that's weird.
So I joined when I was 17 with consent, but I still had to finish high school, so I didn't actually get to boot camp until I was basically 18.
Really?
But I can imagine, being like a squad leader, getting like 16-year-olds in would kind of stress me out. But again, you guys do a pretty good job of finding the maturity out, especially with the Royal Marines. How you guys have like you have to show up in suits and whatnot.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty cool.
The thing what I found is so the army have a college. It's the Army Foundation College at Harrogate. So if you're 16, you'll be classed as like a junior soldier. You'll go to that college, so it's like a form of education as well, and you'll be there for like a long time, like nearly a year at the Foundation College Harrogate. So although you can join, you're not war fighting. All right, you're not seeing anything until at least your 18th birthday, and by the time you get into the your effective training after the college, you're already pretty much an adult, nearly. Does that make sense?
Right. Okay. That's kind of a cool way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's stressing me out a bit.
Literal boys among them who might have joined the forces as a rash decision. Could British soldiers be flakier and less mature than their U.S. counterparts?
I think so.
Or is their youth just a testament to how tough they are? But this is just the beginning.
It's hard to say.
Average soldiers
I
might
wouldn't
make
say
up the bulk
so.
of the army. But what about the guys that are really, really well trained? We're talking about elite special forces.
Yeah.
The British Army has the famous SAS, or Special Air Service, founded
The
during
OGs.
World War II.
Yeah,
It's one of
buddy.
the oldest special forces and has the highest entry requirement of all British forces. With the motto, "Who dares wins." The SAS is respected and feared across the globe in equal measure. It's heavily involved in reconnaissance and counterterrorism, meaning most of their work is below the radar and people like us can't get
What
too
are those
nosy about it.
guns?
However, they do plenty of cool and
Space Force.
hardcore stuff, like rescuing hostages. Not to be outdone, the U.S. Army has the highly respected and admired Delta
Why are they wearing
Force,
gas masks
also
in a
known
field
as the
for?
First Special Forces
Why are they
Operations
in the
Task.
fields like that?
Formed in 1977, it's known as one of the
here we
most
go.
secretive
A halo.
U.S. forces and specializes
Weird.
in counterterrorism and hostage rescue. Sounding familiar yet? Allegedly, the Delta Force was modeled on the British SAS. We want to give the Brits the point here for sheer originality, but it's not exactly good news for them if the Americans know the training secrets and operations of their elite forces. That's a rookie error if there ever was one, especially when there are way more U.S. soldiers and they have better equipment. What about the heads of the armies?
Wait, so it's saying that the U.S. knows how the SAS trains?
So that's where I think this information's a little bit dubious because, you know, the UK and the US work hand in hand anyway on operations. It's not like a nicety. This is like a professional relationship that's been forged through, you know, working together for a long, long time, you know?
Right. I don't think the U.S. is like augmenting people behind the Brits' backs.
Yeah,
trying to
I
make,
mean,
like super soldiers.
There's
It's pretty
like
transparent as far as what they do together.
Oh, absolutely transparent. And I mean, there's Royal Marines working in the US Marines right now on transfer drafts, and there's the same US Marines.
Right.
I mean, one of my PTIs in recruit training, two of them were US Marines. They were drill sergeants. So like part of my training was actually conducted by a US Marine, which was really cool.
Yeah, I don't think it's that big of an issue as they're making it seem.
Nah.
The U.S. Army serves the government of the USA, making the President of the U.S. Commander-in-Chief. Meanwhile, the British Army serves Her Majesty the Queen as head of the armed forces, who is also their commander-in-chief.
Oh, is she really?
Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth
I did not know that.
closely tied to the British military, having been a mother
she's the
and
top
even
boss.
grandmother of individuals serving in the armed forces. During World War II, the Queen, who was then Princess Elizabeth, joined the Auxiliary Territorial Service herself and learned to maintain and drive military vehicles and ambulances. She even achieved the rank of Honorary Junior Commander while doing her part for the war effort. By comparison, the current U.S. president, as of this script's writing, claimed to suffer bone spurs when it was his time to serve. Points here for the badass monarch up to her elbow in Greece, fixing combat vehicles and serving her country. Overall, the British and American armies are matched fairly evenly in terms of their training and structure. It doesn't exactly come as a surprise, considering their histories are so close.
We sunk you guys, I guess.
The Americans would likely have the upper hand in any war against
the
Brits.
What's happening?
Manpower and weaponry. But let's hope
Come on, America, get us
can
back up
settle
there.
their differences over a cup of tea.
You guys got
or
palm
coffee.
trees there?
Now check out our India and China military comparison and our India versus.
So that was really interesting. I mean, do you want to start on some of the?
Yeah, I mean, we learned some things, but at the same time, we were kind of debunking a lot of it. But I kind of thought the prime minister was the commander, because I always think of like, well, I also think about like Margaret Thatcher and her job with like the Falklands War and stuff.
So how it happens is they'll have like, obviously they'll have the political decision, which will then be passed up to effectively the Queen, whether or not it's her exact words that say yes, or if it's the establishment that decide. But she is the overall say yes or no when it comes to huge decision making in that respect. So everything gets passed. But what do you think about? So in terms of the quality of the US and Britain, I would say quality, when you're going to have, so you've got like the Navy SEALs, you've got Rangers, you've got Recon Marines, Raiders, you've got specialists, a lot more specialist individuals than Great Britain has in that respect.
Right.
That's what I think. We've got we've got the SES, the Special Boat Service, SRR, but they all come under one thing, UK Special Forces. You know, and that's very small still, where you've got a lot more manpower.
We do have a little more versatility as far as having all those different people. But again, as far as being on the same level as like the SAS or SBS, you'd have to get like our top guys, like Delta guys. Like a Recon Marine wouldn't really compare. A Recon Marine would probably compare with just like a normal Royal Marine, to be honest.
Yeah, the Marines that came on the exchange drafts to our fighting companies, they were all Recon or Raiders. I think, is it Raiders, that the right terminology?
Raider.
That was them guys, and they were awesome. Like, if I'm honest, they definitely didn't have any problems with anything we did. That's for sure. But I think in terms of like the main difference from what I can see that really has a positive effect on the US is the budget. I think the budget, money talks, you know.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, like, especially with how big we are, we can develop things a little bit easier because we have more manpower, we have more money to fund it. So, I mean, I don't think it's a good comparison, again, when we're like some of the closest allies that you can find on the planet. Yeah. So I think it's kind of, it's definitely going to open some wounds if you're trying to do a comparison like this. But yeah, I don't know. For you guys watching, let us know down in the comment section, what do you think about these comparisons? Again, I don't think it's really too fair because it's kind of hard to put like the U.S. Army and the British Army on level playing field when you don't really know each individual unit and whatnot. But yeah, let us know what you think down in the comment section. If you guys have anything to recommend as well as far as U.S. UK comparisons, you can throw that down below as well, and we'll try and check it out. But yeah, pretty cool video, you said.
Yeah, right on. Troops, please like both the videos. Links in the description for Combat Arms channel, and I'm sure mine will be the same. And like, share, subscribe to both the channels, guys. We're going to be doing this regular now. If you like the content, drop us a comment below. Well, thanks for watching.
Yeah. Yep.